All right.
Senator Scott.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for being here. So you work for a president that has a whole different vision of how you grow an economy. When I got elected back in 2010, the Florida economy was in the doldrums. We had lost 800,000 jobs. We had not balanced a budget in 20 years. We were going in default in our debt. And so we actually balanced the budget. So first year, we balanced the budget. We balanced the budget every year. And what happened is, even though I cut taxes and fees 100 times, my revenue skyrocketed, which gave me the ability to have record funding for education, transportation, environment, the things people care about. And we added, our job growth was faster, our wage growth was faster because we lived within our means. So I want to do two things. Just talk about, here's the way the American public look at your budget, and here's what's actually happening to the American public. So first, since 2019, the population is up 2%. So your budget increases spending by 66%. That's a lot. The American public says, okay, so what do we get for that? 66% increase when population's up 2%. If you look at the numbers, your spending per American, or that's not yours, it's President Biden's, but spending is $21,695. The average American income is only $59,430. That's, you're expecting the American taxpayer to spend 36% of their income, 36% to pay for this budget. The increase per person in spending for every new person is $434,000. So if you just look at what's happened as a result of the deficits, as a result of the spending, look at what's happened to interest expense. When in 2022, interest was you projected 305, but projected was ultimately ended up being 476 billion. So your projection right now is 965, and so far, the projections out of the president's budget has been dramatically off every year. It's been dramatically low every year. Even with that, let's say it's right. This year, interest expense will be in excess of Medicare and defense. So, I mean, when anybody says they care about Medicare or Social Security, when you see a budget that just doesn't even come close to balancing, it doesn't make any sense. There's no money, there's not a dime in here to improve the Social Security Trust Fund. There's not one penny. So then you go look and say, okay, so this is Biden's fourth year, so let's see if it's working. So the revenues are not up this last year, they're down. So federal revenues are down 9%, so that's not working. So I cut taxes 100 times, my revenues went up. Inflation, so if you think about, both of us grew up in families didn't have a lot of money. So think about what's impacting families like ours. Groceries are up 21% in 3 years. Gas is up 40%. Shelter's up 20%. Car payments are up 26%. If you wanted to try buy a house the day Biden took office, the cost now is just skyrocketed with what's happened to interest expense. Median household income has gone from $77,800 to $74,755. It's down 5%. So it's not, so you look at it, inflation's up, their wages are down. You're projecting a corporate tax rate, or not you, President Biden's projecting a corporate tax rate of 28%. I cut taxes when I was governor because I wanted every company to come to Florida. What we're telling people is, don't come to America. You should go to, well, Communist China has lower corporate tax rates. If our tax rates are higher, we're in a global economy, what's a company going to do? They're going to go where the taxes are lower, and they should, whether we like it or not. Now let's look at jobs. In the last 4 months, we've lost 1.78 million full-time jobs. We've only added part-time jobs. We've added 909,000 part-time jobs. Just look at the employment numbers that just came out. Immigrants, legal and illegal, in the month of February added 1 million jobs. People born in America lost 500,000 jobs. Wow. When I go back to Florida, people don't think this economy is headed in the right direction. Then you look at debt. Debt to GDP. Since Joe Biden took office, the debt has grown faster than GDP. And if you look at these proposed budgets, the debt is going to continue to grow faster than GDP. How is this ever sustainable? You can't do that. You can't do it in business. You can't do it personally. You can't do it as a country. So I know you're working for somebody that has a totally different vision of the country than I do, but this, if you look at the numbers, the proposal that's been made by Joe Biden has not worked for 3 solid years. And what I'd hope is at some point that it would change. But thank you for your hard work.
Would you care to respond, Director?
I just think one point worth native-born employment. When the president took office, 6.5% unemployment, 4% unemployment January 2024. So if we're looking at facts for native-born employment, which I hear is important, and the senator brought up, I thought that was an important data point to point out that unemployment for those native-born in this country have come down by more than 2 percentage points since the president took office.
Senator Van Hollen.